Okay, so with the most recent trailer for Amazing Spider-Man 2 and the, I guess, new reinvigoration of the Batman series, even though the Nolanverse was fantastic, I haven't seen a better film trilogy, superhero style, since the Batman trilogy. So people have been asking me to do a Batman versus Spider-Man. I know people did throw out Batman Superman, but I'll probably save that for when we get closer to the movie. Of course, then it'll probably be, Batman versus Superman, and I'll throw like a bunch of cameo characters too that may or may not make sense. So as always, when I do these sort of scenarios, I do a 9-criteria system. There's intelligence, fighting ability, strength, speed, durability. This is how well do you recover. Invulnerability, energy projection, versatility, and X factor. So as always, it's the highest out of those. So if it's 5 to 4, more than likely the person with 5 should defeat the person who's got 4. So we're getting into this. Intelligence. Who has a better grasp of overall intelligence? Will it be Spider-Man, who, depending on when he's written, is either a brilliant scientist or a college professor, or Bruce Wayne, who, depending again on how he's written, he is one of the world's greatest strategists, world's greatest detectives. He's also a scientist. He's not a scientist on par with Peter Parker, but he also has a tremendous background when it comes to finance, because he runs a multi-billion-dollar company. So out of these two, I would say if it was just science, Spider-Man's got this. But Spider-Man is normally a guy, depending on when he's written, he's a guy in his 20s. Bruce Wayne is normally older 20s, closer to like early 30s, who has had a much larger time, and depending on again who's writing Batman, there was a storyline for a while that Batman sleeps like 1 hour a day, and it's this really intense meditative state, where Spider-Man actually has a regular sleep schedule. So we're going to give intelligence definitely to Batman. He's got a much wider breadth of intelligence, and when someone who is near immortal says you're the world's greatest detective, that's pretty impressive. Fighting ability. Sorry, Spider-Man, you're a punch kick guy. So fighting ability, this is entirely everything that is in Batman's category. Strength. You got someone with super strength. Super strength is always going to top the highest of human Olympic level strength. Speed. He's got the spider agility. So he does definitely have a higher degree when it comes to some of those attributes. He's also been shown, Spider-Man, to have a slight healing factor. So he's not going to tire as much. If he wasn't shown in the past to have a greater than average human healing ability, like he's not Wolverine, but he's going to tire out a little bit less. Because, you've got someone who is peak human conditioning versus someone who is, lowest level of metahuman when it comes to recovering, but still puts him above the best thing that a human can do. Invulnerability. This one again goes back to Batman. Batman wears body armor. Spider-Man does not. Spider-Man, with the exception of armored Spider-Man, does not wear anything that can even stop a bullet or a knife, where Batman does. So now we're at the more unique areas. Energy projection. What is his fight like at range? Ironically, at range, I have to go with, do I think some of the different batarang styles, or the basic tools that Batman brings into the party, or webbing. At a distance, I'm going to give the edge here to the webbing. Because depending on the style in which, the style of Spider-Man we're talking about, if it's the organic stuff, it's going to be a unique thing for Batman to try to overcome. So at a range, you got somebody who's got a natural extension of their body when it comes to their webbing, which is going to give Spider-Man a unique advantage, and it'll probably give Batman a slight amount of problems. Versatility. This one is entirely going to Batman. Batman's going to have brought a lot more gadgets with him. Now, I know you could probably say, well, Spider-Man's got, the impact webbing, his super strong webbing, his different styles of webbing, but normally he doesn't bring a lot of that with him. Depending on who he's taking on, he might have additional cartridges with him. If he's the organic style, he doesn't have those advantages where Batman's got his entire utility belt at his disposal. So now it comes down to the X factor. What is that last thing that's going to make this fight really over the top? And I'm going to give that to Batman. So Batman is actually going to have a better than average chance of beating Spider-Man for a couple of reasons. One, Spider-Man is somebody who is at metahuman levels, but he's not at the super high metahuman levels. And those are people that Batman has fought before. Batman has fought somebody with enhanced strength, with enhanced speed. And he's beaten them. He's beaten them pretty easily. At the same time, too, he's got a lot of gadgets up his sleeves. I guess in his belt, I should say. And if he's taking on the Spider-Man who has the web shooters, once he sees him do this motion, and he knows, okay, web comes from here, he's probably going to try to get in close and break this. And once that's gone, it's now gone from a Spider-Man's got range and some in close fighting to Spider-Man has no range. So Batman now has the advantage at range as well as when it comes to in close fighting. You got somebody who's got a much better, better skill at some of these things. You might throw up, what about the spider sense? Okay, the spider sense is great if someone's going to get the drop on you. And it's not like the spider sense is really going to help Spider-Man tremendously against Batman, knowing something's going to happen. It is great if you're taking on a normal foe. If you're taking on, something's going to happen, and you're fighting somebody who is a brawler, that's great. If I know Batman's behind me, that doesn't help me at all. I don't know if he's going to punch me, if he's going to kick me, if he's going to stab me with something, if he's going to go for a throw, if he's going to go for a joint lock, if he's going to do some sort of feint to make me react, and then do something to me. So just knowing that Batman's around you doesn't help you at all. Unless, now if Deathstroke had that, potentially. If someone who was the same caliber fighter had that ability, a little bit of precognition, potentially. Precognition when you're a brawler against someone as skilled as Batman, relatively pointless. So if these two were to fight, more often than not, unless Spider-Man gets in a couple of really lucky shots early on, or is able to get in a couple of good shots every now and then, Batman's got him.